You probably looked older than my wife, who's 63, and you just looked in terrible health. I mean, really,
I
maybe not
was.
63, but you just look so unhealthy. And that was
Yeah.
like during the time when you were eating what's supposed to be the absolute best thing that you can eat, right?
That's what they say.
Oh,
Oh, I
I see
see
their
what you
name.
mean. Why she looks 65. Sorry, Teresa.
Yeah, so you
No,
Yeah,
it's
see the
fine.
one picture? Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna have it in a second. I think is
let's
this the
see.
65-year-old? I don't think that's the 65-year-old.
Well, no, but
Teresa.
that
You're
is one of
sad.
them, and this is the
A
other.
different person.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and
It
this is the
was.
other
It
one.
was a very miserable person in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Been there. I think some of us have
Mhm.
all been there too.
Oh
That's,
wow, look
you
at your
know,
legs. Look
yes,
Yeah.
at your legs. Oh my God, so much water, right? So much inflammation.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
look
because that was
so
well,
much
you had
better.
swelling pretty severely as well, right, Teresa? Is that right in your
Yeah.
in your feet and legs?
And sometimes, I'll look down at my legs and I still don't recognize them. I don't think that I have 100% gotten used to this new body, but I'm happy it's here
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't hurt. So I think I'll get used to it eventually.
Just go ahead and tell us as much as you like about yourself and then your story.
Okay. Well, I'm Trousseau. Um, I got into carnivore because of, well, some disastrous dieting, but no more so than plant diet. So before the plant diet, I was sad and I really only had a couple of issues. My cycle was less than ideal and I had some fatigue. I have been mostly a meat eater. I did eat carbs, so that's why I was sad, but I never ate vegetables with the exception of potatoes, as in usually the form of french fries and mashed potatoes with gravy, stuff like that. And I was a huge rice eater, um, and bread. So, but no vegetables. I did not eat green vegetables. So I got to this point where, okay, I need to fix my health and, drop some baby weight. And the only thing I hadn't tried was the plant diet. And I wasn't very keen on it, obviously. But I watched What the Health and I got suckered. And so we went on this whole food, plant based diet. Uh, in the beginning, I felt good because we dumped all sugar. I'm a huge water drinker naturally, so giving up Cokes and stuff like that was really easy. And we didn't really, we tried like the Beyond Meat stuff once or twice, and it just didn't sit well, even smothered in taco sauce. So I never touched that stuff. It was mostly whole foods. Um, I started off cooked in the beginning, with some raw, but mostly it was cooked. And so, yeah, I initially lost about 10 pounds of water weight in the first month, and the energy got a little bit better. So, on with this. And cooking was really hard because in order to make plants taste good, you need about 100 ingredients and about 2 hours. So, that was fun. Uh, um, as I started getting into it, I noticed that I was sleeping more, but n- never feeling awake during the day. So I'd get about 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep and take about an hour to 2 hour nap in the afternoon and was still just kind of dragging. Um, it was just a horrible feeling and it got worse and worse. And I started going down the rabbit hole on how to tweak it because I mean that's all you ever hear. The the plant-based dieters and the vegans talk about is how much energy they have and how healthy they got and all the excess fat they dropped and that their lives have never been better. So I went to the actual vegan sites, and I don't even know how many hours I spent there looking through community posts, asking questions, getting all this advice, and following it. So I got supplements, and I added more foodstuffs like chia seeds and more nuts and stuff like that. It did not work. In fact, I think it was like 6 months in, I got the advice to go completely raw. And by this time, my counter was like covered in supplements. It was disturbing. Green powders, ginger, and ginkgo biloba, and just crap. It was all crap that I was paying a lot of money for and was not helping. So I went raw. This was supposed to work. This was supposed to be the magic. Everything's raw. Don't cook anything. So yeah, no. It started a downward spiral. And what started off as just having a kind of messed up cycle and some fatigue turned out to be the most excruciating pain when eating that I had ever experienced. I had fibromyalgia pain. My whole body hurt. And for 2 hours after waking up, I was very stiff and very hunched over. And it took 2 hours to straighten up and loosen up so that I could walk like a normal person. But nothing was getting better. Everything was getting worse. I had seborrheic dermatitis. I had dandruff. I had really dry skin. I had this weird rash on my lower legs. I also had pain in my lower legs. I don't know where it came from. To this day, I don't know what caused it, but it was like an ache, like restless leg syndrome times 10. And it was all day long. I was popping 800 milligrams of Motrin every 4 hours, every single day for months. And I didn't even know it was hurting me until I found Dr. Berry. So yeah, I don't know what kind of damage I did. I just hope Carnivore got rid of it. I got to the point at the end where I was 40 pounds heavier than I already was, eating plants. And it hurt so badly to eat that I was scared to eat. I got to the point where I didn't want to eat anything, but I knew I had to, because you can't not just stop eating. So
How long, Teresa, had you been doing this whole food plant and then to the raw at that point? About how long had that been?
the whole thing was 14 months.
Oh,
And the last 6 months were completely raw. So yeah, at that point, every issue that the list was horrendous. And the pain in the stomach would start like about 5 minutes after I ate. And then it would travel all the way down into my intestines. But the stomach, it just felt like a stabbing kind of pain. And it was horrible. I remember not being able to take it anymore. And I was like, well, if I'm going to feel this horrible and still gain weight on the plant diet, then I'm going to eat what I want. And this was during the height of COVID. And I announced to the family, hey, we're doing DoorDash and you can order whatever you want. We're getting Denny's. And I ordered a slam burger, which is probably, I think, their biggest burger, with everything on it. Hash browns, egg, bacon, and I think it's a double. I think it's double burger. Yeah. Never tasted so good in my life. And I'm sitting there waiting for it. I'm waiting for the pain. And other than the bloating, probably from the bread and stuff, no stabbing pain. So that was, to this day, I believe, 100% green plants. And yeah, it was shortly after that. I was angry, really angry, and I started going on YouTube to find answers. And I think I Googled something, or you searched YouTube for something like pain from a vegan diet or something. And I started getting all of these why I'm no longer vegan videos. And I listened to their story and I was like, oh my God, it's like the same things. They all had the same symptoms, the same problems. Some of them were worse. And I really felt for them, especially the younger women who lost their periods. That's crazy. Thankfully, I never got to that part, but and I think Bella lost her period. She was like 5 years. I think about that 14 months, and I was like, I would be dead. I would I would have died. So I try not to think about it anymore. But as I watched the videos, I got angrier and angrier. And then out of the blue, on the little sidebar where it pops up suggestions, there was a Dr. Berry video. I was like, oh, who's this guy? And what's carnivore? I love meat. So I clicked on it, and I don't know, the video was like maybe 12 minutes. And I look over at my daughter and I was like, hey, Sarah, you want to do something crazy? And I asked her if she wanted to be a carnivore. She's all like, sure. And here I am.
Mm-hmm.
So
awesome.
I mean, it is awesome. It's awesome that you're carnivore, but what's really tragic is that it took 14 months to go from where you wanted to lose some weight and you wanted to improve your health to being at a point to where you were, because I remember you saying in one of your other interviews, you were just so depressed and you thought, here I am in my mid 40s and now I'm just going to be like this for the rest of my life. Like, how bad is that?
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible. And in addition to depression, I had really bad anxiety. And I don't know how my kids put up with me, because every time they left the house, I would be texting them, are you okay? Are you safe? And I would freak out about the doors. I would lock all the doors at night and then go upstairs and totally forgot if I locked the doors, and then have to get up out of bed and go back downstairs and make sure all the doors were locked. I worried about everything all the time, and it was horrible. And and I had a nice mouth full of teeth when I was, sad dieter. And just in the 14 months of being a plant eater, 3 of my teeth shattered. I lost 2 molars back here, and there's my little hole. I haven't gotten it fixed yet, but they just broke for nothing. And I wasn't even chewing anything but leaves or drinking green drinks. I wasn't even eating anything hard, and I went carnivore, and I've had no dental issues whatsoever. In fact, the tooth that's hanging on, that I actually lost 3.5 teeth, I still have a piece of one back here. It's stronger than ever. It doesn't feel like anything's wrong with it. Eventually I have to get it pulled, but that's just crazy to me how 3 healthy teeth can just shatter, and then you've got this one little scraggler right here, but you're eating carnivore and it's like tearing into ribeye with no problem. It's weird.
I think Teresa and Chatter, Alia, you can also chime in. I believe that the only way to get what little bioavailable nutrients you're going to get out of plants is to actually cook the crap out of them. And so then when you actually eat those raw, not only do you not dilute some of the toxins, but then you've just totally reduced any kind of bioavailability of what nutrients are there anyway. Isn't that right?
That's what I know now. But when
Yeah.
you go to these sites and you ask these people, no, raw's the way to go. Raw's the best. That is the most natural way, because you're not supposed to cook them. You're supposed to just pick them and eat them, and that's how you get the most vitamins. And I remember at some point I was like, okay, then why do I have so many pill bottles on my counter?
Yeah.
And why do I not feel better? So I started towards the last few months thinking, this is kind of bull crap. And but they make it sound so good, and they've got a lot of shows on like Netflix and other places. It's irresponsible.
Yeah. So
I know.
go ahead, Chad.
I know when I tried the green thing, it's interesting you said, because before the green thing, I'm actually the same as you. Potatoes, rice and shoyu are island staples. I'm originally from Maui. So it's like
Nice.
rice and shoyu were like my mainstay. And then when I tried the green thing, your gut ache. To me, it was like somebody was taking the insides and twisting them with a hot, like, vice grip.
Yes.
It was just this.
bad.
And the excuses I got were, oh, that's your body healing. And I'm like, this is a gnarly way to heal. This is the worst.
Yeah.
Like, it's like picking scabs as a boy when you're 7. It's not healing. It's kind of like, did you read those same kind of excuses? Like, oh, that's your body healing. It's okay to have pain, good pain, because you want that pain, because that's getting rid of the old junk. That's what I always heard.
Yeah, I heard all of those things. I would read other posts too, and I thought it was a joke when I first heard it, but it is actually true. They tell women that if you lose your period, then you're cleansed. That means you have reached the pinnacle of health. And I'm sitting there going,
Wow.
That's
no,
insane.
that's not what that means. That means something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. It means as a species, we'd be extinct. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Right? That your body is so actually deficient of the very, not the optimal level, the very base level of nutrition, that it will no longer actually allow you to have a child, because it will probably kill you. Right? That's that. It is so incredibly ignorant, but also infuriating. I seen Alia typing, how it makes her angry, and some of the people. That's the worst part about it, Teresa, is the fact that people, along with the vegan diet, all of that stuff, and then the move more, eat less, all of those things have been so incredibly destructive to millions and millions of people. And again, they do everything, and just like what you did, it's like, oh, you need to do it more, right? It's like, you already feel bad, just do it more, just and then when you finally feel terrible and you give up because you realize it's killing you, then what happens is people come along and they say, well, you did it wrong.
Right.
I was going to say that's what happened. Like, when I started questioning things, and I don't know if you got this, Teresa, Chuck just hit it. Hey, this isn't, oh, you're doing it wrong. It's you. It's always a blame on you not doing something correctly, rather than saying, okay, let's try to work through that. It's like, well, you're doing it wrong. This is what, and it's like, no, I'm not. This is everything you're saying to do exactly how it was. And I got really into the juicing thing, and it was like, not.
I went down that route also.
It was, but I do like how they pass the blame.
We should definitely do a thing on juicing. I did that for the juice fast from hell. So
I still got to sell my 2 juicers.
Once once you
I think
escape,
we just sold our juicer. Yeah, we just sold it to our neighbor. I'm so sorry
Yeah.
that we sold it to him, but we sold it to him. We wanted it.
that's like donating all the bad food you used to have. It's like we'll just you give it to the neighbor you don't like. So
Yeah.
Teresa, once you started, because you just jumped like I think you actually went for a short period of fasting, but then you just
Yeah.
jumped right into a carnivore, like both feet. Is that right?
Yeah, my daughter and I said, "Hey, we're going to fast," because we knew nothing about carnivore, obviously, and you know, we're sugar burners, and we're going to jump into a 36-hour fast, and it's going to be great, and we're going to detox from all of these crappy plants, and yeah, no, I think I made it 30-something hours, but it was miserable. I was miserable. I didn't have any electrolytes. So I didn't know why I was getting so tired and had to frequently go down and nap. And I thought, well, maybe just my energy's down because I'm not eating any food. And so I would take the little naps and stuff. And I don't know, I think it was like three weeks before I discovered I needed electrolytes. Because the videos that I was watching about Dr. Berry, it was all about what to eat and stuff like that. And I hadn't gotten into any videos that had talked about electrolytes. So I'm walking around and my legs feel like boulders and they're not working. And I'm getting cramps at night. And so I started Googling my symptoms and, oh, I need electrolytes. Okay. So I found them. But yeah, jump straight in.
Great.
And how many supplements do you take today? You used to have a counter covered, right, for your plant-based diet. How many do you take now?
Well, I found out despite taking double the B12 supplements that plant-based recommends, I was deficient in B12. So for the first 3 months, I continued the B12 along with eating the meat, vitamin D. I had been taking iodine for the last 11 years, so I just continued that. But other than that, no, that's all. I don't take B12 anymore. So in the summertime, I don't bother with my vitamin D because the sun is really strong here and I go out every single day. So I got some color every day. I add a little bit more. And so just the iodine.
Okay. So from a whole counter to you probably save you probably are able to buy your meat for the savings on your supplements, right?
Yes, and I'm kind of a picky eater, so yeah, I only eat ribeyes. I'm a steak snob, so I can afford them. Yay!
That's great.
And what's your health like now?
I have no complaints. I have no pain. I have no flaking. I have no dry skin. My teeth are nice and strong. My skin looks better. There's nothing wrong with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Everything is gone.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just incredible. People don't realize the incredible difference that what we put in our mouths really has the impact it has on our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing. And you've also I don't remember exactly, Teresa, but also you've lost a good amount of weight as well.
Yes. I believe I'm at 116 pounds lost,
Okay.
and I'm still going.
Yes, and you know, and
From
I should have.
where else is it coming from?
Oh, I think the last bit is in my butt and thighs.
Oh, okay. Like me, you can't see. You can't
Typical
see it.
women, typical
Yeah.
woman areas.
How tall are you? Just curious. How
I'm
tall?
5'4".
Oh, me
Okay.
too. You look a lot taller, but me too.
Yeah, I thought you were taller as well. So
No,
okay.
um,
So
oh, sorry, when you're done.
go ahead, Alia.
So it's just very interesting everything that you're saying. When I got pregnant with my first son, I think I was eating hamburgers every day, hamburgers and French fries. And then after I got pregnant, it was still on the menu. I was craving that all the time. And a vegan person wanted me, not my mom, everybody, just who knows me, not my mom, but somebody else was like, you should go vegan. I'm like, are you kidding me? All I want to eat is hamburgers right now. Let's talk about this later. But I never restarted that conversation because it made zero interest to me. And then a year later, I got pregnant with my daughter. Same. I was eating like tacos and burritos every day. But my point is, there was a lot of unhealthy stuff in there, but I was eating red meat, like tons of red meat. But before both of those pregnancies mixed in with everything else. And I was pregnant like so fast 2 times. Like I never wanted to get pregnant. I met my husband. We wanted to have babies. You know what I mean? And it was like, we tried. 1 month later, I was pregnant. We tried again. I think it was like 1.5 cycles I was pregnant. And it's just so interesting to me because losing your period is super unhealthy. Yeah. I didn't have one for years after my second baby. Interesting. I was trying to do keto and I was eating tons of vegetables and lean meat. And my periods didn't come back. And then I did something to make my period come back, like take some seed oils and other stuff, some weird homeopathic thing that happened to work. And I felt so much better when it came back. But between nursing and eating, I think with what you're saying, eating how I was eating, I think it totally just messed up my cycle. I talk about my cycle a lot. I'm sorry.
no, it's fine. I mean, that's a big part of our life. And once that gets screwed up, everything else gets screwed up.
Oh my God. I was so emotional. I was like up and down all the time. You don't realize how much these things like affect you. And then I'm nursing for almost 3.5 years, but my period came back before that. But no, it's rough. So what you're saying really makes a lot of sense to me because that period of time, I thought I was doing it right, even if I wasn't vegan. And I was eating more vegetables than I had ever eaten in my life. And I was like, I don't know why I don't feel like how people say I'm supposed to feel.
Right.
And people, I remember various people also telling me red meat's bad, red meat's bad. And I started believing it, but not like connecting the dots. Not so many people, but some people. And I couldn't connect the dots like, hey, wait, I'm eating cheeseburgers all the time and I get pregnant, like just thinking about it almost.
Yeah. And that's one thing I'm like really grateful for. All 3 of my pregnancies, I ate meat. So I'm just really thankful that I did this later in life. And all my kids are grown. So they were actually adults when we all tried this. And but yeah, no, I can't even imagine what would have happened to my children if I ate.
Right. Yeah.
Oops. That's cool.
So so how long currently, Teresa, have you been and you're mostly carnivore, but there's been times when you've been extremely strict with
I'm
just
all
meat.
carnivore all the time.
Okay, so you do all carnivore, but you've become even at some point you even went though like only meat, like no dairy, no bacon. You went beef for a while, is that right?
Yeah, I went lion diet for about 5 months. I think it was about 4 months in. I started noticing some minor issues. They weren't big or anything, but I would get a little bloated and a tiny bit of discomfort, a little bit of stomach cramping. And so I isolated the foods and I figured out it was eggs first. So I cut out eggs for a month and I was a little worried because we had just gotten chickens and they were a few weeks away from laying. And I was like, well, if I can't eat eggs again, what the hell am I going to do with all these eggs? And my kids and stuff would have them, but still, that's a lot of eggs. And I think a couple of weeks later, the feeling came back again. So I isolated the foods and it was bacon. And I was like, okay, I'm starting to get a little bummed because bacon. And really not going to have that much I can eat. And so, yeah, I ended up going lion diet. A month later, I tried putting the eggs back in, but that was still a no-go. So I left those out. And also chicken. Chicken caused the same issues. So, yeah, lion diet. And I was just like, I'm just going to stay here. And I think it took like a week or two, and then I didn't even care anymore. I just wanted steak. And I just started, like, one thing after another just started getting better. So I stayed on it without reintroducing anything. And thank you. And I just felt better and better. So I stayed on it. And then one day, I think it was like after about 5 months, just did an assessment, and I was like, this is really awesome. And, but I miss those foods. I think I want to try and put them in. And at that point, I had learned about egg white allergy and that it's really common. So I only brought it back in the egg yolks. A week later, since I didn't have any issues, I tried bacon and no issues. I did try chicken and I still had issues. So left the chicken out. So it's essentially triple B&E, which is beef, butter, bacon, and eggs for anybody who doesn't know. And I have stayed that way since. And it's been I'm almost at a year and a half, like maybe a week or two. It'll be a year and a half carnivore.
Yeah.
Here's one question for you. When you were in that state, I quit looking at the scale at 275, and I just said no more because I never wanted to hit that point. So I think, you know what I mean? And I know Chuck was up there and Alia. Did you ever feel like, I know I have to get out of this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but
Right.
you just have this miserable tunnel of like doom ahead of you.
Yes.
And how do you feel when you got that carnivore and started getting out? I'd love to hear that kind of mental. I'm really into the mental side of this. I think this is a lot more mental than people give on. Eating the meat's easy. It's that mental challenge of how do we get up and through and out of it?
Yeah. Yeah, my depression was really bad on the plant diet to the point where I almost gave up. I don't mean like off myself gave up, but gave up trying to ever feel better. And that I was going to be this fat or even fatter for the rest of my life and always in pain, blah, blah, blah. I was looking through my journal, and I started in March, and I only journaled until May. And I think that was because I had started feeling so good that there was no need to write anything down anymore. But I saw this one entry, and it was on day 12 of carnivore. And I put down that I smiled today for no reason.
Aww.
And awesome. I remember that moment because it came from within, and I was sitting here. And I think I was looking outside at nothing in particular. And I just smiled, and it was like an all body smile. And I was just like, holy shit. Because I hadn't felt that good in such a very long time that,
I remember that moment. I remember that moment also about 2 weeks in, that exact moment looking at the clouds. Oh, wow, how nice, the clouds,
It is. It's one of the things I know, Chad. You've done some videos about this, but it's one of the things that I find it kind of hard to explain. I mean, not really, but a little hard to get across. Maybe. Obviously, for all of us, our lives are just radically different, right? I mean, so much different that. And in the beginning, you almost don't even believe that this could happen, right? You hope maybe something, close, but the mental side of it, not only is my life just radically different, but even the way I look at life, the way that I feel about life, and never that I was thoroughly depressed where I was, ever at the point of, like you said, wanting to off yourself or anything like that.
Yeah.
But there have been times when I've been really depressed at times, but just the entire way I look at life is different. Have you experienced that kind of thing as well?
Yes. Hmm. I think that for me, it's more like regaining how I used to feel about life. That I was sad for so long, I couldn't feel like how I used to feel because I was so malnourished and I was so tired and I was just poisoning myself daily, either standard American diet or tons of vegetables. But by the way, I think I felt better on the standard American diet than eating tons of vegetables.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too.
By the way, that is such an incredible condemning kind of thought to a vegan, that you feel better consuming highly processed grains, sugar, and vegetable seed oil than you
Yeah.
do on a whole food vegan plant-based diet.
No, it's true. And I was
Yeah.
never that. I was never whole food vegan. It just, and one guy, I was listening to a doctor who said, we're going to talk about menstrual cycles. To handle the pain of your menstrual cycle, because if you've talked to me, you know about my menstrual cycles, go whole foods vegan. And I said, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. He has zero clue. I'm like, the only thing I want to eat is hamburgers during my period. Ask my husband. He's sitting right next to me. So that makes absolutely no sense. But what's funny is that I never clicked that maybe I should just eat meat all the time, not just once a month when I'm craving it. Maybe I should eat this burger stuff,
Yeah.
or at least the meat part. But I'm sorry, I went on a roll, but it was more, somebody mentioned something in somebody's interview a couple days ago about your spark is back. And I feel like that totally made sense to me. Like I'm back to my old self. Not that, yeah, I don't know how to explain it like that, but there was years I was just like watching TV and just, working and then watching more TV and
Like an empty shell.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or not maybe a full shell full of carbs and pain. Yeah, that makes sense.
But
There you go.
it's because you don't have a lot of hope that life is really all that great.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what it was for me. It's like, okay, the prospects looking going forward don't seem all that bright, right? And I wasn't incredibly unhealthy. I didn't suffer through near the kind of pain and kind of stuff that you did, Teresa or Alia. But I was incredibly overweight, and I was on the verge of just kind of spiraling down into really, really terrible health. But it just sucks the life out of you to live there all the time. And when that's gone, it's like it really is incredible. So
yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take this over, but I started this to lose weight and I had IBS, but more the reason was to lose weight or whatever. I was never diagnosed with IBS, but years of diarrhea. And that just went away within days. And maybe it took like a while to get my digestion in order, but the problems with the bloating and the pooping and the gas or whatever, the indigestion, that was gone. It was like moments almost. Like, I can't believe that happens. And yeah, now the weight, it's coming, it's going. Yeah. But everything else is so much better than the weight loss. Like if I was still 200 pounds, but I felt like this, or 210 pounds and I felt like this, I wouldn't care. Like, I don't care if I don't lose anymore, even though I would like to lose more. It's not the most important thing.
So one question for you too. A lot of people in that first 6 months face a lot of like, I want to have this, I've got it. You know what I mean? Those cravings and that kind of breaking the old habit of opening the fridge. The grazing and the things. Did you go through much of that old craving for like your rice and shoyu or your whatever you were really into, or were you just pretty good with getting it behind you?
No, I had hit rock bottom. Like I don't think that I could have felt worse than I absolutely did. And I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
So I might have had like a craving here and there for the first 2 weeks. I remember it wasn't bad. And I was lucky in that. But I was so focused on just feeling good that, you know, it wasn't worth a donut or a cupcake or a Coke or anything like that. I was done. And so I was like, no, I'm going to do exactly what Dr. Berry says. I'm going to eat when I'm hungry, and I'm going to eat until I'm full. And it's going to be lots of fatty meat. And I got through it pretty easy. And I think I got fat adapted pretty quick because I started off at like 3 to 4 meals, and then it naturally went down to 2. And then before I knew it, I was, excuse me, doing OMAD. And yeah, I did OMAD for a long time, like 6 months. And they always say, you know, you're ready for OMAD when you eat that one meal, and then you just don't even think about food. And that was me. I was never hungry. I just went up. I was like, hey, this is great. I'm saving all this time that I could do other stuff and I don't have to eat. But I think it was because I was so angry that kind of fueled me to stick to it and not stray.
For me, it was that I hated the old me so much. You know, I ate too many like pork rinds and junk. I didn't really stray out, but it was like I was surrounded by love from my family. I love my family. My family loved me, but I hated myself for what I let myself get into.
Yeah.
If you ever can relate to that, and you knew that going outside that ring would put you back in.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that one.
What would you tell a plant-based dieter to get them to change to carnivore? Or if someone was thinking about going on a plant-based diet, Teresa, what would be your advice?
Well, I would go through my laundry list of ailments and the cost of what going on a plant-based diet would entail as far as mental, physical, and financially. And I was like, excuse me, I had cheese earlier. Pardon me.
I know that.
Cheese is my cheat. And so yeah, I would tell them what the cost is in all of those areas of your life. And I was like, if you're really bent on it, I can't stop you, but then show them my tooth hole. But yeah, I mean, that's all you can do. You can talk until you're blue in the face, and you can tell somebody, oh my God, that's just the most horrible thing that you could do to your body, and you'll regret it. And if they're set on doing it, there's nothing you can do to change their mind.
Yeah.
Nothing.